The Roman Empire was the dominant power of the first century of the Common Era, ruling territories around the Mediterranean Sea. Its dominance was built on a disciplined professional army, effective administration, and a unified legal system. Under the first Emperor Augustus, Rome entered a period of stability known as the Pax Romana, which encouraged trade, urban growth, and cultural integration. Roman roads and cities connected the empire, while Latin language and Roman law spread across its provinces. Rome's power in the first century came not only from conquest, but from its ability to govern vast and diverse lands under a single political system. The Roman Empire remained the dominant power of the second century, reaching the height of its strength, stability, and prosperity. Effective emperors ruled through law and administration rather than constant violence, ensuring internal peace and secure borders. The empire expanded to its greatest territorial extent and benefited from flourishing trade across its well-maintained road and port networks. Roman law became more refined, citizenship spread, and urban life continued to grow throughout the provinces. The dominance of Rome in the second century was defined by long-term stability, economic integration, and a political system capable of sustaining one of the largest empires in history. The Roman Empire remained the dominant power of the third century, but its strength was increasingly challenged by internal instability and external pressure. Political authority weakened as emperors changed rapidly, often through military coups, while civil wars disrupted governance and trade. Economic problems emerged as currency lost value and urban life declined in many regions. Despite these crises, Roman institutions, military organization, and administrative structures allowed the empire to survive and maintain control over vast territories. The dominance of Rome in the third century was defined less by expansion and more by resilience, as the empire struggled to preserve unity in the face of constant instability. The Roman Empire continued to dominate in the fourth century, though it was fundamentally transformed in structure and identity. Imperial authority was strengthened through administrative reforms that divided power and improved control over the provinces. The empire adopted Christianity as a legally recognized and later favored religion, reshaping its cultural and ideological foundations. A new imperial capital was established in Constantinople, reflecting a shift toward the eastern provinces. These changes allowed the empire to stabilize after earlier crises and maintain its dominance through reorganization rather than expansion. The Eastern Roman Empire emerged as the dominant Roman state in the 5th century, preserving imperial authority after the collapse of central power in the West. Governed from Constantinople, it maintained strong administration, professional armies, and a stable economy based on trade and taxation. Roman law, imperial institutions, and Christian identity continued without interruption. While the Western territories fragmented, the Eastern Empire sustained political continuity and state control, ensuring that Roman governance and culture survived beyond the end of the Western Roman Empire. The Byzantine Empire dominated the 6th century as the continuation of Roman statehood in the Eastern Mediterranean. Ruled from Constantinople, it combined strong imperial authority with a centralized bureaucracy and professional military. Under Emperor Justinian, the empire sought to restore Roman control over former Western territories and standardized Roman law through a comprehensive legal code. Christianity shaped both governance and society, reinforcing imperial unity. The dominance of the Byzantine Empire in the 6th century was defined by legal consolidation, administrative strength, and the preservation of Roman imperial tradition. The Islamic Caliphate emerged as the dominant power of the 7th century, rapidly unifying large territories under a shared religious and political system. Its strength was based on strong religious identity, effective leadership, and mobile military forces that enabled swift expansion. Islamic law and governance provided cohesion across diverse regions, while Arabic became the language of administration and culture. The Caliphate established a new political order centered on faith, law, and centralized authority, marking a major shift in the structure of power across the Middle East and beyond. The Abbasid Caliphate dominated the 8th century as the leading political and cultural power of the Islamic world. Governed from a centralized imperial court, it relied on effective administration, taxation, and a shared legal system based on Islamic law. The founding of Baghdad established a powerful capital that became a center of trade, scholarship, and governance. The Caliphate's dominance rested on its ability to unify vast territories through religion, administration, and economic networks, creating a stable imperial structure that connected regions across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. The Abbasid Caliphate remained the dominant power of the 9th century, defined by cultural influence and administrative sophistication. Its authority was supported by a complex bureaucracy, widespread trade networks, and a shared legal and religious framework. Major cities functioned as centers of learning, where scholarship in science, mathematics, and philosophy flourished under state patronage. Although political control became more decentralized, the Caliphate's dominance endured through its intellectual leadership and ability to shape governance, culture, and knowledge across a vast interconnected world. The Song dynasty dominated the 10th century century as the most advanced and economically developed state of its time. Its power was based on a highly organized civil bureaucracy, merit-based examinations, and efficient taxation. Urbanization expanded rapidly, supported by internal trade, agricultural innovation, and early industrial production. Technological advances in printing, engineering, and finance strengthened state administration and economic growth. The dominance of the Song dynasty lay in its ability to govern through institutions, knowledge, and economic sophistication, rather than territorial expansion. The Song dynasty continued to dominate in the 11th century, maintaining its position as the most economically and administratively advanced state in the world. A strong central government relied on a professional bureaucracy selected through civil service examinations. Expanding cities, internal trade, and commercial innovation supported sustained economic growth. Scientific and technological development advanced state efficiency and military organization. The dominance of the Song dynasty in the 11th century was defined by institutional strength, economic integration, and a highly developed system of governance. The Song dynasty remained the dominant power of the 12th century, distinguished by its advanced economy and sophisticated state institutions. Government authority was maintained through a centralized bureaucracy supported by taxation and legal administration. Commercial expansion, urban growth, and maritime trade strengthened state revenues and stability. Continued innovation in technology and knowledge supported both civil governance and defense. The dominance of the Song dynasty in the 12th century rested on economic productivity, administrative continuity, and cultural influence rather than large-scale military conquest. The Mongol Empire dominated the 13th century as the largest contiguous land empire in history. Its power was built on highly mobile cavalry armies, strict military discipline, and effective leadership under rulers such as Genghis Khan and his successors. Conquered territories were integrated into a single imperial system that secured trade routes and facilitated communication across vast distances. Administrative tolerance toward local religions and customs helped maintain control over diverse populations. The dominance of the Mongol Empire lay in its unmatched military efficiency and its ability to connect regions of Eurasia under one political order. The Ming dynasty emerged as the dominant power of the 14th century, restoring centralized rule and stability in China after the decline of Mongol control. Strong imperial authority was reinforced through a rebuilt bureaucracy, legal reforms, and state-directed agriculture. Urban centers and internal trade expanded, supporting economic recovery and population growth. The dynasty emphasized order, self-sufficiency, and cultural tradition as foundations of governance. The dominance of the Ming dynasty in the 14th century was defined by political consolidation, economic restoration, and the re-establishment of a strong centralized state. The Ming dynasty dominated the 15th century as the most powerful and prosperous state of its time. Its authority rested on a strong centralized government, an extensive civil service system, and effective taxation. State-sponsored projects strengthened infrastructure, agriculture, and urban life. Large naval expeditions demonstrated state capacity and projected power across distant regions. The dominance of the Ming dynasty in the 15th century was defined by economic strength, administrative efficiency, and the ability to mobilize resources on a massive scale. The Spanish Empire dominated the 16th century as the first truly global empire in history. Its power was based on vast overseas territories, control of major trade routes, and immense wealth extracted from the Americas. A strong monarchy coordinated military forces, colonial administration, and religious institutions to maintain authority across continents. Spanish influence spread through language, law, and Christianity, shaping societies far beyond Europe. The dominance of the Spanish Empire in the 16th century rested on maritime power, imperial administration, and access to unprecedented economic resources. France dominated the 17th century as the leading continental power in Europe. Its strength was founded on a centralized absolutist monarchy, a large standing army, and an efficient taxation system. Royal authority expanded over nobility and regional institutions, allowing the state to mobilize resources on an unprecedented scale. Cultural influence through language, art, and court traditions reinforced political power. The dominance of France in the 17th century was defined by strong central governance, military capacity, and the projection of state authority both domestically and abroad. Great Britain dominated the 18th century as the world's leading maritime and imperial power. Its strength rested on naval supremacy, expanding overseas colonies, and a rapidly developing commercial economy. A stable political political system supported long-term investment in trade, industry, and military power. Control of global sea routes allowed Britain to project influence across multiple continents. The dominance of Great Britain in the 18th century was defined by naval power, economic expansion, and the integration of empire and commerce. Great Britain dominated the 19th century as the foremost industrial and imperial power in the world. Its influence was driven by early industrialization, advanced manufacturing, and control of global trade networks. A powerful navy secured sea lanes and protected colonial interests across multiple continents. Economic strength allowed Britain to shape international finance, commerce, and diplomacy. The dominance of Great Britain in the 19th century was defined by industrial leadership, global reach, and sustained economic and naval superiority. The United States dominated the 20th century as the leading global power, particularly after the two world wars. Its strength was based on vast industrial capacity, technological innovation, and unmatched economic output. Military power expanded alongside global alliances and international institutions shaped by American leadership. Cultural influence spread worldwide through media, consumer goods, and political ideals. The dominance of the United States in the 20th century was defined by economic scale, military reach, and the ability to shape the global political and economic order. The 21st century is defined by the dominance of the United States alongside the rapid rise of China as a competing global power. The United States maintains influence through advanced technology, military reach, and control over global financial and political institutions. At the same time, China's economic growth, industrial capacity, and expanding global presence position it as a potential successor in later decades of the century. Global power in this era is shaped by technology, economic networks, and strategic influence rather than territorial expansion. The dominance of the 21st century remains dynamic, with leadership increasingly contested between established and emerging powers. Thank you for watching, subscribe our channel, and check out our other videos.